The first time I saw the sky tear open, I thought my eyes were failing me. I was standing on the observation deck of Kestrel Station, a half-forgotten research outpost orbiting the gas giant Nerith. 9. Humans had abandoned it decades ago, leaving only skeleton crews and scavengers like me, independent analysts paid to watch dead places for signs of life or danger. Most days were silent. Some days were lonely. None had ever been extraordinary.
Until that day.
A fracture of blue-white light ripped across the void like a wound in reality itself. Sensors screamed. Gravity buckled. The station lights dimmed as power rerouted instinctively, as if the machine itself felt fear. Then they arrived. 3 colossal vessels emerged from the rift, their hulls smooth and luminous, shaped not like ships, but like living creatures frozen mid-breath. No thrusters. No exhaust. They simply were, defying every principle of physics we thought we understood. My console lit up with symbols I couldn't translate, yet somehow understood. First contact. I should have sent a report to Earth Command. Protocol demanded it. Instead, I stood frozen, watching the impossible draw closer. A transmission cut through the chaos, bypassing every security layer as if they were polite suggestions. Human observer, a calm, melodic voice said, "Remain where you are." The air shimmered in front of me, and then she appeared. She wasn't projected like a hologram. She occupied the space fully, her presence bending light and shadow around her. Tall, regal, her skin shimmered like starlight trapped beneath crystal. Her eyes, golden and deep, held the weight of centuries. She wore a crown that looked grown rather than forged. "I am Princess Elthyra of the Aurelian Concord," she said. "Heir to the stellar throne." I swallowed. You're in my station." She tilted her head slightly. "Correction. We have arrived in your territory." Before I could respond, her gaze sharpened, not hostile, but assessing. "You," she said softly, "are the one." Middle, the claim that shook 2 worlds. I didn't understand what she meant by the one until hours later, when I stood before the gathered leaders of the Aurelian fleet. They didn't resemble conquerors. No weapons were drawn. No threats issued. Yet the power in that chamber was undeniable. These beings didn't need force. They were inevitable. Princess Elthyra stood at the center, her posture flawless. "This human," she announced, gesturing toward me, "has been observed across multiple probability streams." A murmur rippled through the Alien Council. "He exists at the convergence of survival outcomes," she continued. "Where others fall into entropy, he adapts." I wanted to protest. I wasn't special. I was just a man who stayed alive when others didn't. But then she said the words that shattered everything. "I claim him." Silence. Even the air seemed to hold its breath. Gasps, yes, gasps, escaped from beings I had assumed were beyond such reactions. An elder stepped forward. "Princess, such a declaration is within my right," Elthyra said calmly. "As future empress, I may bind an ally beyond our species if it ensures the Concord's survival." My heart pounded. "Bind?" I asked. Her eyes met mine, unexpectedly gentle. "Not ownership," she said quietly. "Alignment." Later, alone with her aboard her ship, I demanded answers. She showed me the truth. The universe was dying, not dramatically, but quietly. Entire civilizations were vanishing due to a cascading collapse in space-time stability. The Aurelians had foreseen it centuries ago. Every simulation ended the same way. Extinction. Except one. In the single surviving future, a human stood beside the Aurelian Empress, not as a ruler, not as a weapon, but as a bridge. "You don't conquer," I said slowly. "You unify." "Yes," she replied. But unity requires trust, and trust requires sacrifice. Earth didn't see it that way. When news of her claim reached human command, panic erupted. Politicians screamed about sovereignty. Generals spoke of defense. Weapons platforms powered up across the solar system. I was labeled a traitor without ever speaking a word. Althira watched the broadcast silently. "Will you abandon them?" I asked. "No," she said. "But I will not allow fear to dictate the fate of all life." The choice fell to me. Stand with humanity alone, or stand between two civilizations on the edge of annihilation. I chose the impossible, middle, between two fires. Negotiations were brutal. Human leaders demanded my return. The Aurelians demanded assurance I wouldn't betray them. Every word I spoke carried the weight of extinction or survival. Through it all, Althira never overruled me. She listened. That was when I understood the true meaning of her claim. She hadn't chosen me because I was strong. She chose me because I could doubt and still act. When an extremist faction within the Concord attempted a coup, arguing that humans were too volatile to trust, I stood before their tribunal and spoke without fear. "You've calculated every outcome," I said, "except what happens when someone chooses compassion over certainty." Althira stepped beside me, her presence steady. "He is mine," she said again, "not as possession, but as declaration. And through him, humanity stands with us." The coup collapsed. Then came the final test. A spatial rupture unlike any before tore through a populated star system. Millions would die within hours. Aurelians could seal it, but only by sacrificing a key energy core, stranding their fleet light years from home. It was my call. I looked at Althira. She nodded once. "Do it," I said. The rupture closed. Lives were saved. The Aurelian fleet was lost in the dark. Humanity watched as an alien empire chose life over power. Everything changed. Ending. A new definition of ours. Years passed. The universe didn't heal overnight, but it stabilized. Slowly, carefully. Aurelian and human scientists worked side by side. Borders softened. Fear faded into cautious respect. And Princess Althira became Empress. On the day of her ascension, she stood before both our peoples on a world newly designated as neutral ground. No weapons. No barriers. Only truth. She took my hand. "This human was never claimed as property," she said, her voice echoing across the plains. "He was claimed as proof. Proof that survival did not require domination. Proof that leadership could be shared. Proof that ours could mean more than blood or species." She turned to me, her eyes no longer distant or ceremonial. "You stood when it mattered," she said softly. "Not because I asked, but because you chose to." I smiled. "So, what happens now?" She looked out at the crowd, human and alien together. "Now," she said, "we build a future that no single species owns." As the sun set over the shared horizon, I realized something profound. She had announced me as hers. But in doing so, she gave us all to each other. And for the first time since the universe began tearing itself apart, the stars felt whole.